and welcome to Career Launch Live. We are so excited about today's episode, and I want to take a very special minute here to thank you. This is Michaela McCord, who, as you may have noticed, is my sister, and also made that awesome. What? Who would have ever noticed? Also made us that awesome intro video, and she makes all the videos that you see anywhere on our social media. She does an amazing job. So if you have video needs, reference. I never do this right. That lady over there.
You did it right this time. Yeah.
I did it right. I picked the right direction. So we're really excited today. So we're having Michaela on so that she can kind of spend the whole show with us. She's been on every episode of Career Launch since the very beginning. I don't know how she's managed to stick with us this long, but
your good graces. Yeah. People like me, I think.
Maybe so. And maybe it's Maslow. That could also be Maslow, her dog.
He's just like conked out right now. But
he doesn't want to participate today. That's all right. But we are really excited about today's episode. This is going to be a really exciting one about relationship building, how to use those relationships to further your career. And even for us introverts, because believe it or not, I'm actually an introvert.
I know. I'm always surprised to hear that. Like, I know you so much. It's like, oh yeah, I always forget that you're like an introvert.
Right. Yeah. Introvert. I'm an extroverted introvert, which is seems like an oxymoron, but I promise it's not. And so we're going to be having some great conversations with some amazing people. We have Lauren Logan, Dan Irvin, Bill McLean, and Sonny is even back with us. And I'm not even trying to say his last name. I just can't say it right. I try so hard and it never works. But he is an amazing person. So we're going to have him with us all the way from Nigeria to talk about relationship building. So Michaela, first and foremost, how are you today?
I am doing really well. Yeah, it's been a good week. It was a good week last week. I guess the week just started. I'm having trouble keeping track of the week, but it is Thanksgiving week, so I do not have class. I turned in my last school assignment for the semester. Yes. I'm like smooth sailing. So yeah, it's been really great. How about you? How are you doing today in Florida?
I am fantastic. And I have actually been using the exact skills that we're going to be talking about in this episode to grow my business. And it has been working. We are getting new clients, even with a new COVID peak. So
are you going to talk about the stuff you've been using as we go through the video? You're going to talk about maybe some right now. We get a sneak peek, or
fine, you can have a sneak peek. So we're gonna. So the main thing is you have to start with making the relationships, right? Creating them, which is everything. And we're going to get into detail about this throughout the show, but it's everything from networking to getting on LinkedIn and commenting and messaging and all of that. Then you've got to follow up. Okay, right? You can't, it's just like dating, right? You can't okay, hey, how you doing? Okay, bye. And then think you're in a relationship and never contact them again.
Show interest.
Show interest. So you have to show interest in the other person. That's the next step. Give them shout outs. Like get on, introduce them to other people that you think they can help. Do something that thank you. We're going to be talking about that. That's an important part of cultivating business relationships is shout outs. That is huge. Helping them. Karma. We're going to be talking a lot about that. And then asking for help. People always forget that step. How is somebody going to know what you need or be able to help you if you don't tell them that you need that help?
Yeah. I think people get really worried because I think sometimes people start to think that shows weakness when you ask for help. And they don't. And I think I'm going to give you a shout out here, Catherine, because I don't think that every person in the world is, especially entrepreneurs, are as giving as you are. Then you're always willing to help people. And I think that it can actually be a rare quality to find sometimes, especially in big people who've started their own businesses and stuff. So,
well, thank you. I actually learned it from some wonderful, wonderful people, and I'm going to give them shout outs real quick. We're going to run down the list of some of the most amazing entrepreneurs that I've known. There's a gentleman named Scott Frieda who's in Dallas, Texas, and he's actually really great at building that relationship and getting to know people. His wife was, God rest her soul, a really amazing influence in my life. And then we have Trevor Houston, who just is always teaching us new ways to reach out, right? Always teaching us new ways to grow and all that. And actually, Susan Straub, who's been on the show several times, has co-hosted.
Yes, Susan.
Susan, and it landed a new job recently, and she's kicking butt at it.
Watching.
And Susan's an amazing communications expert, and I've learned a lot from her. And also, I'm actually later today going to go be on a television show / podcast. It's both. Called Treasure Coast Connector with a lady by the name of Ellen Contreras, and I have learned a lot from her. She is an absolutely phenomenal human being located right here on the Treasure Coast with me. And it's all about just reaching out, right? And realizing that the world isn't you. There's no such thing as a self-made person. Doesn't exist.
We're interconnected. We're a social species. We absolutely thrive on connection. And I picked up on something you're talking about there that I was going to mention, and that's mentorship. I think it's very important to find mentors who are in your field doing what you want to do the way you want to do it. Surround yourself with those people and watch yourself just burst into growth. Like, seriously, I can't tell you how much of a difference that makes.
Right. And if you're, by the way, if you're talking about, somebody in your field, it doesn't necessarily have to be like, recruiter for recruiter or something like that, but it needs to be something linked. So like recruiters can use HR people, that kind of thing. Entrepreneurs, it does need to be other business owners, but it doesn't necessarily need to be other business owners in your field.
Anyone who you can look up to who does something that you want, like, one of my mentors is even our mother, just who's in. Oh my goodness! Like, I'm in counseling. That's what I want to do. But she has really, as far as like professionalism and stuff goes, that's one of my mentors. I have mentors all across the board. So I think I sort of interrupted you there, Catherine. But no,
you're fine. And I talk about mom's mentorship, but actually, because we're talking about relationship building today, Dad's going to get a shout out, because the number one example in my life for relationship building actually has come from my father, from everything for learning how to smile and be friendly and make people feel welcome and just have friends everywhere that you go. To cultivating that relationships. Our father can hold on to a relationship for 30, 40 years. It's amazing. Like, from across country. It's absolutely astounding. Yeah.
Relationship goals.
Yeah, relationship goals.
I always think about Dad and his ability to do that with people, and I'm just like, man, I'm falling short. Like, it's hard. It is to cultivate relationships like that. He's puts a lot of effort in. He makes it look so easy. I know it's not.
He does, and we're going to talk about exactly how he goes about that. At least some of the things I've taken notes of that he has specifically told me over the years. I've kind of taken notes periodically and worked on those specific things. We're actually going to talk about those steps from the perspective of somebody we know very, very well who has made that stuff work. So I think we have our first guest in the waiting room. We're very excited to have Miss Lauren on. So let's go ahead. We're going to show her a little intro image, let you get to know her a little bit. This is also how you can contact her if you would like to get to know her. Let's bring on Miss Lauren Logan. Let's see, where is she? Oh, there she is.
Hi. I put down the shades in my studio, but the sun is too brilliant. So
that's okay. It's okay. You're
lighting up your face.
That's right. You're a ray of light anyway. You're a ray of sunshine anyway. So I think it's fitting. So Lauren, Michaela, Lauren. So Lauren, you come to us from Pennsylvania, correct?
New York.
Oh, okay. Yes. And so kind of the Northeast.
And from the Northeast. So I'm in PA probably since April. But I live in New York City normally. But yes.
Wonderful. And so, and you've got a very interesting career. So you are a business coach, which is fascinating to me. And so one of the key aspects of that is relationship building, right? So the first thing that we were kind of talking about, kind of the first point, we're going to take people through the steps of relationship building and how to properly do it. So the first step is obviously you've got to meet people. Right? You've got to get out there and meet people. So what? Got to actually go meet people. So what are the ways in general that you do that? And then right now, specifically with COVID going on, what are some of your tips?
Meeting people in general, I would, when I got into business coaching, the word networking just had such negative or kind of false connotations to me. You hear people, oh, I'm going networking. And the first thing that comes to mind is that a real relationship, or am I just creating this back and forth so that I can use you and you can use me? And in truth, my experience in these last 5 years with networking is that there's one network that I have joined that I've made several relationships that I know will be lifelong relationships, not unlike the kind that your dad has, and others that are far deeper than that transactional nature that one might think of as networking. I'd highly recommend that whether it's your BNI, your Chamber of Commerce, however you go out and find people to talk with, that you then schedule one-on-one time with them.
Yes, and that's so crucial. But real quick, I want to touch on something that you said in there, because I think that this is a really important aspect that people forget. Don't think of this as transactional, even though it can be. And even though we're going to be using those relationships to grow your business, you can't view the relationship as transactional and expect it to actually be successful. Yeah. It just doesn't work.
Yeah, exactly. It might work once. In other words, I might meet you and say, oh, Catherine, I have this great referral for you. And you'll say, oh, Lauren, I have a great referral for you. And off we go. But actually, no, it's not that. What you want is, I want you to be talking about how great Lauren is 3 years from now.
Yes.
That will only happen when we can get below the surface level. So the people you meet, you're going to want to be able to dig a little deeper and get an emotional response.
So we're going to touch on that. But real quick, I want to talk about, before we get into that with you, and I do want to talk about that. When people go out to these networking events and things, and it's easier to do, I think, on LinkedIn, you just kind of comment. You get to know. We're going to talk with Dan Irvin about that in just a little bit. But when you're going to in-person networking events, and folks, they are going on in most areas, not all. There are some areas that are so riddled with COVID that it's just not happening. So you may have to be kind of patient on that aspect. But if you can get to an in-person networking event, remember, you actually need to talk to people. Just showing up doesn't work. And I've noticed, and if you're experienced at a networking event, go out and say hi to the new people. Greet them. Don't just talk to your same old people. Bring those people into the fold. And if you're the new one at the events, make sure that you're actually finding people, and find the right people. Find the ones that everybody's going to talk to, and then go have a conversation with that person, and they will start making intros for you from there. Michaela, what are your thoughts on that?
Oh, absolutely. I have been at networking events before in my own profession where I'm just like standing there like, oh my gosh, I don't know anybody. What do I do? And luckily, there are some people who, like you said, who had been there before and who know other people who came in and took me under their wing and was like, here, come with us, and introduced me to more people until I just sort of had my own little group. And then, like you said, you do it for other people, because you never know when you meet other people, especially new people coming in the new meet, what they're going to bring, what they're going to contribute. And it could help you just as much. You never know.
Right.
You said something that is really important. When that has happened for you, when someone has said, when they look over at you and they eyeball you and they say, oh, hi, are you new here? Come on in. Let's meet Barb and Susan. And when they do that for you, there is a natural instinct, and I would say follow it, to next time do that for somebody else.
Pay it forward. Absolutely. Because you know what it's like at that point. Then you have that natural empathy of, oh my God, at that particular event, I was a little overdressed. I think it was like a dance event too. And so anyway, it was like a whole thing. But yeah, I digress. You're absolutely right. And it makes a huge difference.
Yeah, it does. And remember that forming relationships is cyclical. Okay. There's always a give and take in every relationship. So make sure that, at first you're probably going to need to take a little bit, right? Because you're going to need people to intro you and have, kind of give you a little bit more information, get to know people,
Mhm.
but then remember to cycle it back, invite others, be the one to reach out and say hi to the new person. That kind of thing is very important. Now let's talk about that emotional response. So you're at this event, you've met Jane Smith or John Doe or whoever it is that is very important. How do you get them to actually remember you, right? Because as people, we forget that we're like little goldfish, right? We see something and it runs away, it goes the other direction. What's your advice, Lauren, to get people to make that initial emotional connection to you?
There's the famous, I think it's the Maya Angelou, and I don't know it exactly. It's people won't remember what you said, what you did, your great career. They won't remember any of that. They'll remember how you made them feel.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the idea is that in that brief couple minutes of conversation, ask them a question that you really care about the answer to. What got you here? Or, sometimes if you find out they tell you they're a nuclear physicist, how'd you get there? Well, how'd you start? What people want to do the most in the world is talk about themselves.
I don't know anything about that.
No.
And so if you can just have that little connection, and if there's one thing in what they said to you that you can say, oh, my brother-in-law is, he's also kind of in that field. I mean, he liked rockets as a kid. And just something joyful to bring back to them. That's the seed that will allow you to follow up the next day and say, loved our conversation. Let's get together one time.
Right. Make them laugh too. That's another huge one. Make people laugh.
Yeah.
Sorry, go on, Catherine.
No, go ahead. That's all right.
That's a very chemical base too. Like if we can even get scientific about that and say there's a lot that goes on in the brain that people want that. It's almost addicting. In fact, it can be very addicting because we want more, right? It releases that dopamine. It releases the bond. Actually, we're really talking about bonding hormones too, like oxytocin. I won't get too far into it, but what I'm saying is there's a scientific basis to what Lauren's talking about. And it's really important because you're also making people feel important. And I think that's a very beautiful thing, as well as a scientific basis as well.
Yes. I love that. And remember, we were going into that room and we were nervous. We didn't know anyone. Mm-hmm. So every single other person, please remember when you go into that networking room, everyone else feels the same set of nerves that you do. No one likes me. I'm overdressed. Everyone's wrong with me. Yeah, exactly. Something is terribly wrong with me and everyone's noticing. So
I think too, and as an introverted person, I have to psych myself up to go talk to a bunch of people, and you have to be on the whole time. Like you can't step away and be off. So you have to be on for hours at a time when you do these kinds of things. It's draining. It's exhausting. And so I have to, and even doing this show, I have to psych myself up for it, right? I have to okay, gotta be on, gotta do this. And I think for me, at least, and everybody needs to find their own kind of cue. You need to think, what is the thing that is making me the most nervous, or what is the thing that gives me the most anxiety about going into this? And then work with yourself to understand why that's not really a problem. And for some people, for me, it's just, I always have 5 million other things going on. So I have to remind myself, no, those things can wait. Those things are okay without me. Life will continue without Catherine for a couple of hours. I'm sure of it. And then what I benefit from the show, which is I like to talk to my guests. I like to take some time to help the job seekers and the other professionals out there. So that's what I get from it. But then the other thing too, for other people, one of the biggest ones is, why would anybody want to know me? Or why would, that, or some kind of anxiety about that you're not important enough to be known. I walk into every meeting going, everybody should know me. I'm amazing. I am awesome. and you just have to remind yourself all the awesome reasons for people to know you. Like Michaela, if somebody wants somebody that's going to always support them and be there for them no matter what, that's Michaela's strength. Or if you want somebody that's gonna, understand something that you're saying to them on a very deep level. That's one of Michaela's greatest gifts. For Lauren, she's a very engaging person. She's a person that wants to help. You can tell that right off the bat. There's value to be had there, and both of you have your expertise, right? For me, it's I can recruit, I can make intros, and actually I'm pretty confident I can do just about anything I stick my mind to. I've kind of proven that over the years. That's just something that's where I get my confidence. So going into a situation like that, a networking event, even a big meeting or an interview, just remind yourself why those people will have value knowing you, and then show that to them when you meet them. Go, hey, this is me, and this is what I can do, and what's up with you? What's your deal? Tell me about you.
I love that. And I would just say, and if even that, Catherine, can't get that set of nerves away from you, just approach that room and say, oh my gosh, there are so many fascinating people here. Yes. I can't wait to meet them. Oh, let me find out something about this one and something about that one. If you can just push away those nerves, get the focus on other people, and you're going to really do well.
Now, what do you do?
Oh, I was gonna say, man, we're on a roll today with this with really like likening what you're talking about to like really scientific based stuff. For instance, anxiety and excitement actually originate from the same exact place. So what you're saying is really like when you have anxiety, turn it into excitement. And so you go into somewhere, just think about all the exciting things that are going to happen, and honestly, you'd be surprised how easy that can be to do. And there's still going to be anxiety, but they really do tend to be very, very similar as far as chemical reactions within our bodies go.
Yes. And now what happens when you go in there and the very first person you go to talk to is a potato and just has nothing to say, and just even their job is boring. And this has happened to me. This has legit happened to me. And I'm like, why are you even like, I don't understand this. Like, and why are you at a networking event when you don't want to talk and you don't want to interact? That's so bizarre. I understand being shy, but if somebody approaches you, say something,
Mm-hmm.
So what do you do, Michaela? Let's start with you, and then we'll ask Lauren. What do you do when you walk up and the first engagement is just fine? What else do you want me to call him? Not a potato.
Okay,
that wasn't
use it for confidence boost. I'm gonna send this one over to Lauren in just a second, but my immediate thought is use it as a confidence boost. So basically just sit there and as their potato be like, wow, I'm recognizing this person as a potato. That must mean I am not a potato. So
there you go.
Better than I thought I would be.
And I do want to point out too, everybody does have value. So even those people that you're having trouble like making any connection and just the sound of their voice makes you go cross-eyed, even those people have value. So stop laughing at me. So still find their value. They have something going on that can contribute. So Lauren, what's your tip on that one?
It reminded me of a networking meeting I was at, and people were in twos or threes, and I go up to this group, and this twosome said, oh, so what do you do? And I said, I'm a consultant. She said, oh, and she turned around and walked the other way.
That's just rude. That's not even a potato.
That's just rude.
And so I was a little bit taken aback, and I need to tell our audience, these things will happen, and you will be a little bit taken aback. Don't take it personally. Yes. Fast forward 6 months. She's calling me. She's lost her job. Is there anything I can do to help her? So remember that even the person who turned their back on you that day, literally walking away, is someone that you might ultimately develop a relationship with.
Yes. Oh, yeah. And I've had that happen time and again. So do not be discouraged. Also, somebody can be having an off day. Maybe take the time and try to kind of make them laugh or make them smile, and don't spend all your time. If somebody's just not feeling it that day, move on. Yeah. But take that time, make that effort, and okay, thank you. Have a great day. Just keep on going. You're not going to jive with everybody. I brought that up. Yeah, it's kind of funny, but I brought it up to make the point. You're not going to jive with everybody. Don't waste your time on that. Move on to the next one that is wanting to help, that is wanting to make a connection. So what do you do when, and I'm going to start with Lauren on this. So what do you do when the person is basically just trying to sell you the whole time? Like you meet somebody, let's say it's a cosmetic salesperson, and all they want to do is tell you about their new mascara or tell you about their lipstick or something like that. And they won't just have a conversation. What do you do with that at a networking event?
I would tend to, you talked about moving on. You need to, if you've got a room of 30 people, I don't know exactly the percentages, but there's a fair number of people who could ultimately be great connections for you.
Yes.
You need to, if someone is in a sales mode and they haven't listened, they're not able to listen and catch the emotional intelligence cues that you are giving them. You can be kind to them. You can listen for a little while and say, "Oh, I see Debbie over there. Let me talk with you again soon." It's all right, because they have already told you that they're not listening, that they're a little bit impervious to what's really going on.
Yes,
that can be such a frustrating experience too. And I love the fact that you use the phrase emotional intelligence, because that's so true. That's really what you're running into there, is someone who lacks emotional intelligence and just reading your cues to say, "Oh, I should probably ask about this person and what interests them."
Well, and also know your audience. Like I use that example because I recently had someone do that to me, and I'm like, I don't wear makeup. Look at my face. Why are you wrong audience person?
Well, you have friends to do, I'm sure, so you can tell them.
That's it. But realize too what's going to be interesting to somebody and what's not. That's why I brought that up. Understand, talking about yourself too much may not be interesting, and tie what you do into what they do. Find a way to make that connection and say, yeah, I know, like in your job, I'm sure you see this all the time. Yeah, we do this. That's why blah, 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 blah with this. Yeah. Tie it into them. Keep them interested, because you do need to tell them about you, but you need to make sure that they feel connected to that and that they're not just going, like, when is this person going to shut up? Make sure that you're being engaging and lighting up. So the last thing I want to really ask you about, Lauren, and I met the most phenomenal human being lately that's good at this. And I can't think of her last name right now, but it's Sasha. If any of you guys want somebody to coach you on how to properly introduce yourself and an exciting way to present yourself and introduce yourself, and like at networking, you always get to stand up and give your little 30-second commercial. If you want some help with that, reach out to me. I have a fantastic connection for that. But you do need to kind of, at these events, you do have to kind of just say, hey, here's me. This is what I do. How do you do that and sound interesting and not look like an insane person at the same time? Because too much excitement is kind of like, whoa, calm it down a bit. How do you, Michaela, let's start with you real quick, and then we'll get Lauren's take on it.
Okay, I'm glad I think I know why you came to me first, because I have a tendency to do that. I just get really passionate sometimes about what I do. And so as far as like how to calm it down, again, read the room. Don't scare people. Always go. One thing that's been popping into my mind as we've been having this conversation is just try not to come across conceited. Like, notice what you're saying and try. And like you said, Catherine, try to find ways to fit the other person into what you're saying, and it'll automatically calm you down, because you're not going to be as excited about the other person. Though sometimes I am that too, so I have to be careful.
Very enthusiastic. Michaela is like having a golden doodle at your house. She just is so excited about you. And that's why I came to her. It is wonderful energy, but it's like, but you do have to learn. No, it's not. You just have to learn to harness it. Yeah. So Lauren, what on the other side of that, how do you get your energy up if you're having trouble with getting it there?
I would say, again, focus on the other person. Yeah. What the best networking intros that I have heard are people who talk about how their clients have benefited.
Ooh.
Okay. You can focus on the benefits that people who work with you have received. It really helps people. And sometimes if you can even say, I had a client who is in your age range. She did this, and these are the goals she was able to help achieve in 6 months, but relate it very much to the person.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And even if you're in a group, if you're doing a group intro, that still works. Look at the group you're in. How does what you do help them? very specifically. And I want to thank you, Lauren, so very much for coming on today.
Yeah, that
It's
was
been a
so
true
fun. It's nice
pleasure.
to meet you, Lauren.
Fantastic. Yeah. Love
Thank
meeting
you.
Taylor.
And everybody connect to Lauren. We're going to post her information as we say goodbye to her, so that you can connect there. We're also going to drop her LinkedIn. It's already in the comments. Please feel free to connect with her. Bye, Lauren.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. So next we're going to be having on Dan Irvin. We're very excited to have Dan the man back. It's been a bit. He has some exciting things going on, and actually we're going to talk a little bit about his success. We see Dan. Let's get him there. Oh, Dan, we can see half of you. There you are.
Hey, Dan.
Moving over a little bit. Hey, how are y'all? I am so excited to be here, Catherine.
We get a sign.
Thank you so much for having me back. I'm excited to be here to chat with you all. How are y'all doing?
Doing good. I was real excited to know that you're coming back on, because I think the last time I was able to see you was when you were co-hosting with Catherine.
Yes. Yep. It's been a while. And Dan has had some exciting things. We're going to get to that in just a minute. We're going to talk about that because the subject today kind of led to all of these exciting things happening for you. So we just talked to Lauren about networking events and all of that and how to get through those, right? And how to kind of introduce yourself and all that. We're going to talk about follow-up and all. How to not be the potato. Don't be a potato. It's very important.
I'm glad you caught that. That's a very important point.
That's a main takeaway. So the first thing I want to ask you about, Dan, is the other side of that, the side that you're really great at, which is reaching out virtually to people and making human connections virtually. So Dan, tell us how you do that.
Yeah, so thanks again for having me. So excited to be
Sure.
with you all. So there's obviously lots of ways to do that. And when I kind of went through the process of trying to figure that out, there's not like a book that I found to say, how do you do this? And so oftentimes the way that I figure anything out is I just kind of test things and assess them and how they went, and then reconfigure and then go back into the testing phase, right?
Right.
And so what I found actually worked well is that I kind of broke it down into 3 steps. Made it easy for us. So the first step is take the lead. The second step is attract the right people. And number 3 is follow up, right? And
right.
So what by that, if you don't mind, I'll jump right into that. So
yes,
the lead. What does take the lead mean? Well, for me, what it meant was that I put all of the pieces in place to make it really easy for people to connect with me. Right? I didn't want there to be these obstacles and hurdles and like these back and forth emails and how do I do that? And so what I did just in a couple of the tools that I use is I use Calendly, right? And I use Zoom. And so when people would want to connect with me, I would send them a Calendly link that they could find a time that worked for them to then get onto my calendar. So I took the lead. I found a way to make it easy. When people are like, hey, I'd really want to connect with you, like, fantastic. Here's my link, right? And
right. And I want to point out to you real quick, Calendly is free and it's easy. Anyone can do this. I have taught all different kinds of people how to use It takes 2 seconds to learn Calendly. Very, very simple.
Yeah. So unlike a physical environment where you're kind of almost forced to bump into people, in an online environment, if it's not easy, people are just going to check out. They're just going to move on. They're just going to go on to the next thing, right? And so want to make it super easy. And also ultimately, it's easy for me too. I don't have to go back and forth on what about this time? What about this time? Here's a link. I'm excited to connect with you. And if you do it right in Calendly, you can actually put information in there like, here's a little bit about me. I'm so excited to connect with you. So they already get a little sense of who you are, right?
100%.
And actually connecting with people, I would schedule for 30 minutes. And my kind of ideal roadmap in that was a 10-10-10. So a 10 minutes about you, 10 minutes about me, and 10 minutes about how we could work together.
I like that. The 10-10-10. We're going to everybody take notes on that. The 10-10-10. That is perfect. 10 for you, 10 for me, 10 for us, and what we can do together.
Yeah. What would happen essentially is that, 30 minutes, again, I don't want to take up too much of someone's time, but what could happen is that I would end up talking for 28 minutes about me. Right.
Right.
And so it just really kept accountability and consistency on getting to know one another in equal time, right? So that was really taking the lead. Number 2 is attract the right people. Quit trying to go out there and find the people that want or would be good connections for you. Attract them, bring them towards you. And so how do you do that? For me, it's really about putting content out there. And so I know when I say that, people are like, oof, I don't know if I want to do that. Well, listen, let me tell you, as a self-identified introvert, it can be done. It can be done. And really, I started doing it simply by just text, different quotes and different texts that I was actually writing out, different content that eventually led into video work. And so I do more video than anything now on social media.
You do a lot. Kudos.
It's fun. It's certainly, again, nerve-wracking for me. It's gotten easier, but it's still difficult for me. I'd rather be behind the camera than in front of the camera, right? That's kind of my mentality. But I can tell you this. By putting in the time and the energy about being in front, talking about who I am, being authentic in that way, the right people will come into your sphere. They will. So
can you give us an example?
Absolutely, yeah. And so I have connected with so many folks. I mean, I can think of, Catherine, I think you and I probably connected this way, is that you saw my videos, right? You saw like, this guy seems interesting. He's kind of, we mesh in some level. I want to know more. I want to learn more, right? And so that's really how all of my connections have happened, is that someone's like, that guy seems interesting. I have a taste of who he is. Let me get to know him more. And then on the opposite end of that, people that are like, ooh, that guy totally just rubs me the wrong way, then they self-check themselves out. And I don't even have to go through that process.
Are there people that don't like you? Who are those people?
If they do, guess what? I didn't waste my time. I have no idea, because they went through the process and checked out. So how are you attract? That's just a mindset. That's how I did it. There's probably other ways. There is other ways to do that. But how are you attracting people to you? Quit trying to find them and start attracting them. And
100%. Go ahead. I think we're both waiting. Okay. So Michaela, I wanted you to chime in on that real quick on the attracting people.
Oh, no.
On the side. Oh, God, not like that, you ridiculous thing. So, So when it comes to engaging people, there's psychology there, right? There is an aspect of needing to understand the human connection, human need to connect. So if that's not something that's natural for you, what are some good resources to understand that better and what will get people to connect with you?
Well, as far as resources for understanding it better, if you're someone who just likes to research, just go and look up it doesn't even have to be human. Look up, because we're human animals, basically. We are a social species. So if you really want to do the whole lookup thing, then yeah, just go in and look up the basic, did we lose Dan?
I think we did. Where did Dan go? We lost Dan. Oh, no. He went away. I'm sure he'll come back to us. I think he didn't want to hear you talk. That's what it was. You were not interested.
I don't want to hear myself talk either. Yay!
That's okay.
Because you weren't here. We didn't know what to do. But no, so if you really wanted to research, you really can look up the bonding hormones like oxytocin and what that does for you, what bonding in general does. But what I was going to say earlier, Dan, is you were talking about being an introvert and it being hard to get out there and connect to people. And what was going through my mind is that a lot of times when discomfort happens or when something's just uncomfortable in general, people are like, oh, I can't do that. I just can't do it. It's uncomfortable. And it's well, just because it's uncomfortable, you still can do it. And it's going to get a shot or something, a flu shot, it's going to hurt, but you just do it anyway. So I think that emotional pain can be a lot more frightening to people because it's you can't see it. It's there and you can't see it. So it's, I just wanted to say that. I also just want to throw in there real quick that I love that you said about being authentic. I think you and I have brushed on that before, talking and stuff when you were the co-host. And I just think that is such a beautiful, beautiful thing because you want people to connect to who you are as a person, not to a fake facade that you're putting on.
Right. And whether you're looking for clients, because let me tell you, the best relationships I have with clients are people that I connected to the way Dan said. We just connect, right? If you're looking for a job, that's what I do for a living. Let me tell you, the more that they like you, the more that they understand you, the more that they share your goals and your culture, it will be more successful. It's just how it's going to work. And I love what you said, Dan, about starting simple. put a quote up and then say something about it. And hashtag, by the way, people look up how to hashtag. It's not hard. There's tons of articles about it. Look that up. Hashtag. And just connect and also tag people in it. Tag people that you know would relate to that and let them start a conversation and that type of thing. Connect to people. Just put a simple quote, put a funny meme, work related. Don't be weird. We always stress that. We stress that on the show. Don't be weird.
Don't be weird.
Don't be weird. And then follow up. I heard you say, I know that was your next point, Dan, is the follow up. You have to follow up and cultivate these relationships. So Dan, how do you follow up? How do you keep them engaged? Because that initial conversation is real easy, right? But then how do you keep it going?
Yeah. So for me, it's really just, it's just a human instinct. Like, it's just who I am to check back in with people. Like, and I think that's just like, if it's not normal for you to follow up with people, put things in place to remind you to follow up. Certainly
calendar
invites. There's so much technology out there that can help you do this. I use a couple of different things that help me, that remind me to do that. I actually have a CRM that I use, right? I'm a speaker, right? And so I have opportunities I'm following up with. And so I actually put in my contacts into my CRM to do follow-up with them, just to check in with them to see how they're doing. And so that's one way to do it. Before I had the CRM, I actually used a tool called Todoist.
Okay.
Just basically an online checklist that you can put things out there, and you can have professional and personal things on there. And so whatever it takes, whatever way that you would do it, and the way that I would do it is that every Friday I would go back and look at, okay, what are all the appointments that I had this week? And then I would push out follow-up dates for them. Additionally, what I would do is that after every one of my conversations with people, I would send them an email afterwards with a video in it. Catherine, you know,
I know.
And so again, that's just me wanting to be a differentiator in the marketplace, right? And so I use video and email more than regular email, again, because I want to separate myself.
Yes. And I think that's crucial. And you have to find that way to set yourself apart. One thing I do too, and I don't use a CRM, but actually that's a good idea to use it in that way. That's really clever for networking purposes. I think that's a smart idea. It's something I probably actually start doing now that you put that idea in my head. But I always write down too something that connected us. You know, like, told this funny joke, or is also a Dallas Cowboy fan, or you know, whatever it is, something that actually has cats. Ellen, that I'm going to be on her TV show later, Treasure Coast Connector. She's obsessed with her cats. I am obsessed with my animals, including my cat Livy, who is sitting right next to me, looking at me. And so we connected on that, you know, and when you reach back out to somebody and you go, hey, how are you doing? Oh, and by the way, I remember your grandmother was having surgery. How's she healing? How's that going? That will establish that relationship. And Michaela, from a can't talk today. I don't know what my words are. From a psychological standpoint, how does that help you bond? When you reach back out and somebody remembers something, how does that connect?
It shows similarity. It shows common ground. And anytime we see in somebody else little reflections of ourselves, we're automatically more attracted to them. Can be, or sometimes it can actually be the opposite. But most times, I digress. I don't want to get off too far on that subject. But so sometimes it's like my brain just starts like connecting all of these dots. I apologize.
It happens.
For the positive side, when we see what's similar to us and other people, generally what we're going to do is gravitate more towards those people. Because what it does is it's like, that person's safe. That person's a safe person to go to, and it increases those bonding hormones that can happen. But one thing I actually wanted to ask you, Dan, was earlier you're talking about how easy it is for you to connect people and follow up with people. And what was going through my mind is that you just seem very motivated to connect with other people and to, cultivate those relationships and to follow up. And it takes a lot of work. And so what was going through my head is like, what kind of advice would you have to people, or just thoughts in general, would you have to share with people who aren't as motivated as you are?
I think the first thing that comes to mind for me is, and one thing I really put a lot of energy in focusing to this year, is finding things that I have a passion around and that scare the hell out of me. I know that when those two things intersect, when I am excited and passionate and I am afraid and scared of doing those things, when those intersect, I'm in the good stuff, man. I'm doing the things that I should be doing, right?
Yep.
And so for me, it's really having clarity on what brings me energy and passion and excitement. And once even if it's scary, having clarity on that, and then setting goals towards that is what motivates me, is what energizes me. Because now I'm setting goals for things that are important to me.
Right.
And I am a notorious goal setter, but on the flip side of that, I'm a notorious goal achiever.
Yes.
And so, they go hand in hand, but when it's so easy to achieve goals, when they're about you and you're passionate and they're energized towards them. And so, Michaela, to answer your question, it's really about finding the things that you're energized and passionate about, along with that scare you, and then being really intentional about setting goals in those areas. When you do it that way, it's no longer your goal or Catherine's goal, it's my goal. And so I can go all in on it.
100%. And I want to say, Dan, too, that you're talking about the fear aspect. And people always say, step outside of your zone, do something that scares you. Don't do something. Constantly live in that zone. Live in that. I am afraid of it, but I need to conquer it. And when it comes to networking and really cultivating relationships, that's a lot of it. And putting yourself out there. For instance, right now, I just did this to somebody. I'm notorious for doing this to people on my show. I go, you're going to come on my show. And they go, I've never done that. I don't know what to do. You'll be fine. Don't worry about it. And I don't prep them. I'm so mean. I don't prep them. I'm like, just come on. You got this. So the last show we had Janice on. And I had been talking to Janice. I knew what a phenomenal person she was. And I knew her passion, to your point, Dan. I knew her passion about helping people and helping others grow. And so we were having our diversity and inclusion episode. And I brought her on at the end of the show to talk. And she was horrified. And the whole week she was messaging, I don't think you want me to do this. I don't think you want me to do this. And she was so nervous. At the end of the show, I get a message and she goes, I can't wait to come back on. What other shows can I get on?
You found what she was passionate about.
She found what she was passionate about. And so even though she was afraid, once she got up there and she realized that she could, it just took off. And, I can't wait to see what she does with that. And I know you went through that when Trevor was like, okay, you got to start making videos. And then you did it. And now, amazingly, you've gotten out there. People know who you are. And you get shout outs on all kinds of shows. I'm constantly hearing your name. And I'm constantly saying your name.
Quite honestly, to be real transparent about it, I've created a business around it. Right?
Yes.
I am a paid speaker today.
Yes. And that's what I wanted to bring up. Yes, I think that's amazing. Amazing.
Yeah, I do too. I just got the frame today because like a month ago, I got my first check in the mail for speaking. And so I framed it. It's on the wall right over there. But and I've gotten a couple more since then, right? And so it's just building a business from it and really seeing, because what happened is that I leaned into something that was scary to me. And then what actually happened is that I love doing it. I got incredible feedback from people about it. And then I was like, well, I'm heading in the right direction. Let me actually put some foundational pieces in place here, grew a business out of it. And now that's what I'm doing.
I know. It's amazing.
It's incredible. And, I'm having
Congratulations. That's awesome.
When Dan told me what he was doing, I was just beside myself. I was so excited. And I was very honored, by the way, that he asked me to be one of the video testimonials. I redid his video testimonial like umpteen times because I wanted to get it right. And it was amazing. So it's just that testimony that when you do step outside of your comfort zone, when you do cultivate all those relationships that you spent all that time cultivating, and even in the middle of COVID, you have launched a lucrative speaking career. And that's just a true testament to what you can do, stepping outside of your zone and cultivating relationships.
Yeah, thank you for that. I hope in years to come, I can look back and say, I launched a successful speaking career during COVID.
I think you will be saying that. Yes.
Well, it's inspirational. It really is. And especially, I love so much that we took some time today to talk about doing what scares you. And Dan, I can't think of a better person to really be talking about that, especially with what's going on with COVID, and especially, I mean, you're already doing something that scares you, but especially in a time with such uncertainty, it's just, thank you so much for sharing. And
just so everybody knows, Dan has a wife and kids. Okay, this isn't like some single guy with nothing going on. Three kids and a wife. And he's always like doing these amazing things, trying to be a better husband. It can be done, is my point. Like, even if you're afraid of something, just don't let fear rule you. And thank you so much, Dan, for coming on the show.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I love hanging out with you. I'll take any time with you guys that I can.
Thank you. And I'm going to take you up on that, Dan, because I actually have a really cool opportunity coming up next year. That's going to be a paid speaking gig. And I want to talk to you about that, but we'll talk offline. Everybody, tune into Dan. We dropped his link in the comments. Please connect with him, follow him, learn how to build content by viewing one of the best. And we will see you soon.
Bye, Dan.
Bye, Dan. God, I love talking to him.
He's always so fun.
I know he is. He's a really good dude, and he's done so much, and he's just been able to build so much, and it's been very exciting to watch. I've watched him over the last few months.
After I talked to Dan,
yeah.
I was like, I'm gonna go take on the world now. Thanks.
Which is good, since he's going to be a speaker, so I guess he should be inspirational, right? So next, we're going to bring on somebody else who has had a very interesting career, has worked in technology, and is also a pro networker. And we're going to bring him on. And here's Bill. Yeah, there's Bill McLean. Very excited about it. You can check him out. There's his site. We're also going to drop his link in the comments. Let's say hi to Bill. Where's Bill? There he is. Hi, Bill.
Hello.
Good to see you again, Bill.
Hello. Man, that's going to be tough to follow, Dan.
Right?
Can I go second next time?
I know, right? Next time we'll do
that. Oh, Dan's a bit of a teacher's pet. Don't worry.
Yeah, Dan. And I tell you, and right after you is Sunny too, who's another one that like, woo, like it's so much energy. I love it. He always brings so much energy to the table. I'm like, they make me look bad, and I'm the host. Like, I'm supposed to be the best one at this. I'm not. Like, they come on and just cream me. It's so funny. But we're excited to have you on too, and you've got some great stuff to talk to us about today. But first, I wanted to I wanted to kind of to touch on something. So your whole world has been changed by COVID. So mine wasn't, right? My whole company was already remote. We already worked like that. Everything functioned that way. So the first thing I want to know is, tell us how everything has changed for you and how you're still keeping those relationships even with COVID.
Yeah, it's been interesting. I joked with one of the guys that works for me. He's been with me for like 20 years. And I said, hey, how did we deal with this the last time this happened? It's like, where's the manual for, pandemics, page 62,
right.
Make sure you do this. I'm a little more old school with business practices, and this work from home thing prior to the pandemic to me was like, you mean go goof off at home, right? That's really what you mean. You're not really going to work. You're going to take a nap. You're going to pull weeds. You're going to, whatever. So to me, that was kind of my thing. And so now I'm sort of forced into it for a short period of time. I have immune compromised child, my youngest. And so I went to my people at the beginning. I said, look, I'm going to be playing it very safe. I'm at home in my basement. And so, and I want you guys to be safe too, but I'm probably going to be really safe. So even though they're back at work, I'm still primarily working from home.
Yeah. And it's different. It's different to try to keep those relationships. Michaela, you've had, in your profession, had to go remote, which is interesting in counseling. So how do you keep that interpersonal aspect?
Well, a lot of it for me, and luckily we get to do it. It's telehealth, so luckily I get to see them. It would be a lot harder if it had to just like be over the phone or something, which some of my fellow cohort members have to do. But anyway, for me, a lot of it is just showing the interest, like you say. Like I have I don't know. I love people, and it's just obvious that I really like to connect to people. And so for me, through telehealth and the virtual stuff that we have to do, it's just a matter of like eye contact. Like most of the time we look down here like at the screen, but like when you really look into the camera, like that's how you look at people. And like there are times like in my sessions with clients when I really make sure that I'm like directly looking into the camera. Like do you do much like actual virtual meeting with other people, Bill?
Am I doing that? Yeah, it's, so what we've done is, we, with our technology, being the technology guys, we've been able to, support the work from home people and talk to the owners of these companies and explain to them, perhaps better ways to communicate and keep tabs of their people and their customers. And so that's been something that we've had to make an effort to reach out to these customers and let them know, hey, we're still here. You may not see us as much, but that's sort of the nature of today's technology, is sort of remote management, remote working, remote everything, cloud this, cloud that.
Oh,
so
yeah.
we're in technology, in the technology world, if you think about when this pandemic happened technology-wise, I mean, could you imagine it happening 15 years ago?
Oh, my God. No, it would have been horrible. Horrible.
I mean, dialing up on your modem and having your screen refreshed.
Dialing up on your modem.
Michaela's too young to remember that, but
yeah, she doesn't know about DOS and all that.
Yeah,
that atrocity.
Yeah.
So it could have been so much worse. It could have been so much worse. But today's technology, I know not everybody has high-speed internet. I know rural areas and things like that, and we're working on that. But for the most part,
we're pretty connected.
Yeah,
it was a good time for this to happen. I mean, it's horrible that it happened, but as far as like when it happened technology-wise, like we
got lucky.
Very, very much so.
Yeah. Yes. And I want to say too, so we're going through this whole, cultivating and building relationships, right? And we've talked about how you initiate, how you seem interesting, how you then you go back, but kind of the next, and then how you hold interest and all that. And and I want to talk about shout outs too, right? So one of the things that we do and that Dan is good about, shouting out to people like, hey, this person's really amazing at this. And this person, oh, you need that? You should totally talk to this person. And whether it's in a post, whether it's on a show like this, whether it's, an introduction, like how we met. We met via an introduction from somebody that said, hey, you two are really interesting. You should totally get to know each other. So, and then little do they know you're now this insane person putting you on a show and all that kind of stuff. So, so what are some of your tips on that aspect of it and keeping the relationship, not just following up, but then helping that person grow?
Yeah, it's interesting because you have different levels of relationships, right? So you've got the new ones that you need to bring along slowly, and developing a new relationship could be something as easy as posting a thumbs up on their post, right? I mean, right?
Yeah.
That's simple.
Yeah.
But then when you talk about people that you've known for 20 years and been doing business with, you still need to reach out to them too. You need to cultivate that too. Follow them, respond to their posts on social media, things like that. But also, once again, old school, being an old guy that I am, pick up the phone and call them. If you can't go see them,
I really had anxiety.
Yeah, actually call them instead of messaging them or typing to them. You can't beat that.
You can't. Like I do. My grandparents are adorable and they're in their 80s and they can text now, which is the cutest thing in the whole wide world that they text. Yeah, they text. But I still pick up the phone and call them. You know, if I want to just send them a quick picture and just tell them what it is, or, you know, ask a very quick question, I'll text them. But you're right. You have to have that interpersonal. And we were talking about our father at the beginning of this and how we both have learned so much about cultivating relationships. And that's one of the things that he's great about. He still sends cards, like handwritten birthday cards and things like that. And I think that and that's a personal touch too. In business, folks, handwritten thank you card, handwritten Christmas card. And if you have horrible handwriting like I do, because my handwriting looks like a 4-year-old's, have somebody else do it, but then you sign it. The effort is still there. But you're right. You have to make those personal connections. Get on the phone and keep that relationship going. Sometimes just chit chat with people. If you have a client or somebody you just want to network with, look at what you and I did the other day, Bill. We talked about the show. We got that out of the way. And then we just had a conversation.
Right. I'm a firm believer in, getting to know more about your network, not just the business aspects of it. Do they have children? What are they doing? What's going on in their lives? And people, and Catherine, we talked about this the other day. People want to do business with people they like.
Yes.
I mean, it's a fact. You like to interface with people that you like, and so if you're also happen to be providing a service or a product to them, then that's a good thing. So
yes,
well,
yes, 100%.
One thing we seem to also be saying, or that y'all seem to also be saying, is that you see the person, not the resource they are to you. And I think that that's been a theme throughout the conversations we've had with our guests so far today. And I see that here too, is that you're talking to a person. You're not just talking to a resource. So have a conversation with them, care about them, get to know them, not just what they can do for you.
Yeah. And that's a common misconception, is that when you're networking that you have to talk only about business. No. Have a conversation, be personable, be funny, talk about like I said, the cats. We're circling back to this. Ellen would be laughing if she was as she watched the episode. It really is important to keep that personal relationship as part of the networking. That's how you make connections. That's how you go take it to that next level and keep them interested and keep them engaged with you.
Yeah, the other interesting thing about the pandemic is that working from home, one of the things that it significantly reduced was interruptions. I have my systems here, I have my phones here, everything like that. But at the office, if there's an emergency going on, I'm going to get involved instead of letting my people handle it. So what that gave me the opportunity to do is go through my contacts list, go through my customer list. Who have I not reached out to? Send them an email, send them a text, give them a call, whatever. And it gave me a lot of opportunities to do that and touch base with old friends and also competitors and peers and things like that. So it's never too late to reach out to somebody.
100%. And keeping that relationship going is so important. And you can reach out to somebody and 10 years later, all of a sudden you make this great business connection. I actually had that happen to me very, very recently. And it's the same thing too, when you're hiring, of reach back out to people that you knew and that you had success with and all that, and just have a conversation with them. What are you doing now? What's going on? And just make that connection. I did want to ask you though, Bill, because this is something that happens to me a lot. And this is something we talk about on this show a lot. So one thing that happens a lot is people will reach out to me because I'm in recruiting, and they'll say, hey, I'm looking for a job. Can I have 15 or 20 or 30 minutes of your time to discuss my job search? And I keep trying to explain to people, I don't have time to do that. I don't have time. I will hop on the phone as much as I can, but as much as I get asked that, I would literally do nothing else. That would be all I ever did in my life. And I don't mean just for work. That would be all I did as much as I get asked that question. So when you do need something, because asking for help is part of it, right? That is part of networking, is saying, hey, I have this need. What have we got? What would be your solution to the alternative to that? So instead of just saying, hey, I need 20 or 30 minutes of your time on the phone, what's a different way to ask that to where maybe that other person might offer it, but you're not just asking for a very difficult resource to give?
Well, one of the things you're talking about, my time management or being respectful of the other person.
The other person's. Yeah.
Right. So the interesting thing is, Dan mentioned some of the technology that's out there now where you're going in and you actually have visibility into somebody else's calendar. And I'm utilizing some of those technologies too. And it's a nice way, like, oh, let's both look at our calendars. Oh, what about Tuesday? No, that doesn't work. How about Wednesday? No, I've got to go. Oh, I forgot to put this on my calendar. I got a dentist appointment, that kind of stuff. So being respectful of other people's time, being a business owner, I mean, you can imagine, well, you don't have to imagine, how many calls and requests and, whether it's somebody that wants need your services or somebody wants to sell you their services or products and things like that. So time is something that we all have the exact same amount of.
Yes.
And it's a precious commodity. And if you don't manage it properly, you'll end up not getting anything done. When
right.
at the end of the day, how many days have you had where you're like, well, I started the day, with this, and this to be done. What did I get done? Not this, not this. Why? Because you didn't manage your time properly.
Right.
So you need to be respectful of other people's time too.
Right. And Michaela, if you were going to reach out to somebody and you, let's say you're a job seeker and you say, hey, I really need, and in your head you're going, I need help with my resume, or I need help with my job search. I don't even know where to begin. How would you initiate that conversation?
With me, I would be really passive about it. Well, so assertive, obviously, because I'd be reaching out. So I'd be very professional. But what I mean by passive is I'd sort of show my belly because I know I'm asking for something big. Like, hey, I know you're a really busy person, but I really need help with this. I was wondering if you could just take a couple minutes to look this over. I'd really appreciate it. And I try to find someone who I knew, like who I had connections with already, and like maybe cultivate relationships with, and not just try to find some random person on LinkedIn that I didn't know and say, hey, you don't know me, but could you do me this favor?
Right. Yes, that's a huge aspect of it. If you actually do need something, reach out to the people that you already know.
Yes.
and ask for that favor.
Well, it sounds like you're getting these requests from people who don't really know you that well, or like haven't, and that to me, that's just weird and sort of rude. Like,
don't be weird. We always talk about that. Don't be weird.
Don't be a potato.
And don't be a potato. And don't be weird. So, Bill, what's your take on that? On, if you're going to ask for a favor in your network, should it be somebody in your network or just find somebody random?
No, I think that you want to ask somebody in your network. People want to help people. And I'll give you an example. My largest client, the CEO, runs it to $500 million company. Can you imagine her time requirements? I sent her an email. I sent her an email on a Saturday. 5 minutes later, she's calling me. I'm like, you didn't have to call me. I just was asking a question. She's like, I'm sitting on the side of the soccer field waiting for the rain to stop. The kids have a game. She goes, I thought it'd be easier to call you instead of texting you. She freely gave up her time to me on a Saturday because I asked. A large corporation, and chatted with me for a while because I had a question.
That's awesome.
And so I like to help too. So when people ask me, and I get those calls too. Being, I keep saying this, being an old guy. I've developed a large network over the years, and competitors will reach out to me. Not direct competitors, like maybe in a different state or a different part of the country.
Right.
So, and I try to help when I can.
Good. And by the way, that's a great point too. Get to know your competitors. I'm friends with some of my competitors. We've even sent each other candidates and business over the years because something just didn't jive. Get to know these people. There's enough for everybody, guys. Don't be weird. Okay. Get to know these people. They're in there with you in the trenches. Like Bill's talking about this. Get to know your competition. Get to know other companies that do what you do. It's not a big deal.
Well, you're getting rid of senseless animosity too, and you're cultivating more professional relationships, and that never hurts. So I really like that, Catherine.
Good. Yeah. See, I know something.
Well, at least there's one thing.
But thank you so much for coming on, Bill. We got some great advice from you, and some great tidbits. So thank you so very much for coming on. Everybody connect to Bill. We've dropped his LinkedIn. Bill, is there anything that you would want people to know about connecting with you? Is there any particular group of people that you would like to connect with? Anything like that, or just everybody come say hi?
Just come say hi. I mean, been in the business for a long time. And I tell people, if it has anything to do with technology, just ask. I may not know the answer, but I'll know who has the answer. And a lot of times you do have the answer. So, we're not here to reinvent the wheel. Somebody else has already done that. Somebody has already solved that problem. So just ask.
All right. Well, thank you again, Bill. Have a wonderful rest of the day.
Nice talking to you.
But yeah, I loved that he let us into that about getting to know your competition. Guys, when you're out there networking and growing your relationships, who better to know than your competition? Plus, guess who's most likely to give you a job if you lose yours? Your competition.
I love that we're breaking the stigma about that you just can't know your competition. You've got to have bad relationships with your competition.
No, I have drinks with mine.
There you go.
I get out there and go say, hey, I send them candidates. I've helped them get placements. They've helped me get placements. Do not be weird about your competition. Just get out there and get to know them. Don't be weird. See, don't be weird. That's what it is. And now we're going to bring on our final guest. We're very excited to have him on. There's Sonny. You can check out his leadership classes there at that link. He has some awesome new classes out there that will take you to the next level.
That's so cool.
All right, let's see Sonny. There he is.
Hello. It's so nice.
How have you been?
I am cool. What about you? I'm Michaela.
Hey.
I'm great.
We're doing good.
I think we're good. We're good. And we're excited talking about relationships today. And that's something you know a lot about. And I like it too, Sonny, because you're great about the reciprocal aspect of relationship building, right? Because it's all cyclical. We all help each other, symbiont beings. And so just so everybody knows, so Sonny is great. Like, he will comment on your stuff. He will support you and promote you. And then when he has something going on, he lets you know so you can do the same for him. And that's what it's all about. Mutually beneficial and helping support each other. So when you're putting out your content, Sonny, because you put out such a variety, which I really like. You address stuff that's political. You address stuff that's about you posted about your wife recently, which I just loved, and your relationship. It was a beautiful post. He posts about leadership, which is his expertise. How do you, and you have engaging posts, you get a lot of engagement. How do you create that engagement with your people?
Okay. Thank you for the question, and thanks again for the opportunity to share with the people, because it is speaking is a powerful thing. I speak because speaking changes lives. All through human history, the people who have impacted us the most are the people whose words we can recall. So people recall Abraham Lincoln, they recall Martin Luther King, Nelson Mandela in Africa, because their words changed lives. So when I post on LinkedIn, I try to be as strategic as possible. I look for the opportunity to speak to the audience, because audience connection. As a public speaker, I know that one of the most important skills that a public speaker must have is audience connection, because there are people that you listen to speaking to people in a public space and you see that the audience is disconnected. It is because the speaker himself or herself has lost the audience connection. And once audience connection is lost, there can be no speaking in that space. So when I speak, I try to produce a variety of speaking because it is related to my person. I am somebody that is multi-talented. So I cannot speak only about one issue because my other talents and skills will suffer. That is why I try to create a variety of posts that speak to different people in different spaces. You know, one of the key words on our career launch today is communication. And I want to give you a little clue about communication, because many people communicate poorly. And what they do not realize is that communication does not have to be complicated. Why? Because on our bodies, human bodies carry communication skills, communication clues. Now let's go. You have your brain up there, right? Your mouth is so low. But there are many human beings who readjust their features on their face. They move the mouth high and the brain comes down. Communication is about moving with the organs on your head. Number one, think it's the brain. Number two, observe something.
Yes.
Observation is the propeller for apt speaking and communication. Number three, hear something, but don't just hear something. Hear from both sides. That's why you have two ears. And then come to the point of perception and say something. So
that's
when you follow that order, you are able to communicate effectively, because many people do too little thinking before they speak. Then when they have spoken and discover that they have misspoke, then they try to do some thinking. That is why I feel. So this is a simple illustration, but it is profound.
It's very true. And you know, when you're, and it's funny that you said that about the engagement with other people and talking about the different senses and and thinking about it. When I started getting more engagement with my posts, it was when I stopped and spoke about something or posted about something that really mattered. You know, that just really, really, like, I saw this problem, I want to talk about it, and here's kind of the different angles on it. And my number one post that just got an insane amount of engagement, and I never thought it would. I posted about what it's like to be a business owner with bipolar disorder, and kind of alleviating the stigma, because people go, "Oh, you did? That's right. Yeah, I think you commented on it, and you did." And it got a ton of attention, and I think and I got a lot of messages and connections from people that said, "Thank you. Thank you for talking about this, because nobody wants to talk about it. And everybody treats me like I'm weird, or I'm afraid to do something." And what you realize is, when you go through these things, is that other people are not that different from you. They have similar struggles. They have similar thoughts, that these things affect them too. And when you talked, and so when you post about something that somebody else can relate to, that's how you find more people, how you get more engagement, how you build that relationship. And then I loved how you talked about hearing things from both sides. And Michaela, I'm going to let you go into that, because I know that's kind of your thing.
That resonated with me as well, Sunny, when you said that, because what you were really talking about here is what's known as active listening. And you know, it's so important. That's something that I had to learn about a lot as a counselor, for obvious reasons. I mean, I have to actively listen to my clients. I would hope that I do anyway. And it's a very different way to listen, especially in our society over here in America. We're not really trained to actively listen. We're not taught, well, I want to say taught, we're not taught to actively listen, which means listening without an intention to respond. You're not listening so that you can respond to somebody. You're listening to understand and to hear. And that's what sounds to me like really saying, Sunny. And I just think that's such a powerful lesson that more people, especially, and even in a professional world, and I would say especially a professional world, could learn how to do.
Yes. And cultivating those relationships based on that
so
understanding is huge.
I always say in one of my definitions of speaking or communication, I say, speaking is not about the speaker. It's about the audience. One of the reasons many people who are in my field of speaking fail and deliver poor speeches is because they think erroneously that the speech is about them. There would be no speaker if there was no audience. So you have to have that at the back and at the front of your mind. Another key word in our career launch today is cultivate. I looked at the action points in the subject that you chose, Catherine. Cultivate, launch, network. Cultivation takes me to farming. Whether it's a male or a female farmer, they are pragmatic people. They watch the wind, they study the times, they look at the seeds, they are deliberate in their cultivation. They prepare the ground, they dig, they put the seed there, they go back to watch it, they water it. Cultivation. Then when you talk about launch, I thought instantly about the recent launch of Elon Musk from Tesla. Launching your career. Just go watch that video. Look at it. Think of your career as the rocket ready to launch. There was a lot of preparation before the launch, but what we see who are outside the company is the launch itself. So you ask someone who wants to launch your career, you must deliberately start the cultivation part. And about network, I want to break it into two: nets and work. Put it together, you have network. The nets takes me to fishermen. Fishermen or fisherwomen are people who are deliberate people. Again, they think a lot. They may be fishing while you are sleeping. Nets, work. You have to have the capacity and the willingness to want to work. We have a lot of problems on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a very beautiful space, by the way. It's one of the keywords in our subject for this career launch. It's a beautiful place, but there are people who misunderstand this purpose. Some people think it's Facebook. They try to operate like they are on Facebook. And there are people who are not good with the communication that they initiate. When they initiate a communication, they literally bombard the people who are the recipients. I made a post on LinkedIn, not said.
Oh, Sunny's got frozen. Oh no.
Yeah, looks like
when you communicate or send messages on a woman. Oh, thank God, we are still here.
Oh, I think we got you. I
received a message from a woman. Can you hear me now? I just went off suddenly and then I'm back now. So I received a message from a woman, and she wanted to share some of the services that she sells. And she sent me about 7 videos. I said, for crying out loud, you are not my wife. Only my wife can send me 7 videos and expect that Sonny, because he loves me, will check all of them. Don't send 7 videos to one person. If you have a lot of things that you sell, what is the number one thing that you want to sell? Make it the number one. Communicate. Start with a hello. In COVID time, don't say, oh, I sell B, I sell A, I sell Z, I sell Z. Ask them, how are you doing? Where are you located? Oh, I see you are in this place. How are you coping with the COVID crisis? This is how we're coping here. Get the people engaged. Become interested in what they do. Don't be fighting only for them to know what you do. That is why
100%.
It's a two-way street.
100%. And I think it's important to also when you're networking and things like that, especially if you're doing it online on LinkedIn, because it's different than in person, right? In person, it's a very different vibe. On LinkedIn, if you've just connected with someone, do not, and I cannot stress this enough, do not send them a message that says, how is your life going? I don't know you. That's so crazy. Weird. And this is not Facebook. What is wrong with you?
That's important to a friend.
Yes.
That's a really big question too. Like, how honest do you want me to be here?
That's
be a therapy session.
Like, where are we going with this? So keep it polite, keep it direct, and say like, hey, I'm just trying to network. I would love to, learn a little bit more. And here's something I liked about you specifically.
Yeah.
If you liked their yes, and if you liked their post, talk about their post. If you liked their comment, talk about that. If you think a particular job they've had is interesting, state that particular job. Be specific. Let them know that you actually paid attention. Michaela talked about that earlier. Very important.
To corroborate what you are saying, Catherine, I give a tip. Look at the headline of your recipient. Say something about their headline. Human beings by nature like commendation. Look at Catherine McCord, host Career Launch. Hello, Catherine. I like the look of Career Launch. Tell me something about it. She was the road running.
Yeah, I'll tell you all about Career Launch and how I accidentally ended up with the show. It's true. No, that's a wonderful point, Sunny. And the headline is, first of all, use your headline, folks. If you're job seeking, if you're just a professional, use your headline. That is to tell people, hey, this is me. This is what I do. Use that headline effectively and then comment on it. Use that to understand the person, and make sure that your headline is clear too. I see a lot of very vague headlines. That's not helpful at all. Don't be vague in your communications, period. Be very specific. And when you're building relationships, don't be coy. Okay. It's irritating when you're trying to date somebody, and it's irritating in business too. Don't be coy. Tell people this is what I've got. Sonny, you're married, and Michaela, you've got a boyfriend and you've been dating, all about that. It's so annoying. Do not be coy. Just be direct.
I don't want suspense. I want you to be direct. I want you to talk to me.
Yes.
Gosh.
Yeah. Just not that hard, folks. And listen, pay attention, and get to know somebody. Watch, look at their last few posts. LinkedIn gives you that option to see their last few posts. Look at that. And Sunny, you hit the nail on the head talking about, comment, put a thumbs up, engage with them. It is that easy. That is one of the best ways to start a relationship on LinkedIn.
You can
engage on their posts.
Skill. Oh, I'm sorry, Sunny, go on.
It is very, very important when you come to LinkedIn, define yourself for the audience. What do you want to achieve on LinkedIn? What do you want to sell? How do you want people to see you? Don't put a headline, keynote speaker, profile picture, you're carrying your little pets. You are not a veterinarian.
Right.
Let your profile picture collaborate with your headline. If your headline needs refining, go refine it. Don't put too many things on it, but don't put too few things on it. Don't let your name be your headline unless you are a superstar and everyone knows you already on LinkedIn and even out of LinkedIn.
If you're not Tom Brady, don't do that.
Do it on Facebook if you want, but not on LinkedIn.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, remember your audience.
Remember your audience.
We've talked a lot about be professional. Yes, and we've talked a lot about representing yourself well, and LinkedIn is where it starts. Your business card is where it starts. Don't have some business card that nobody can tell what in the world you do, or that's at least not engaging. You don't necessarily have to have your industry on it, but have an engaging business card. Mine is a metal bottle opener. Nobody throws that out, and everybody talks to me about it. It's a great conversation. Yeah, it's a great conversation piece.
I want one.
We can talk about that later. But seriously, but see the response. It's engaging. Do things that represent you well and that are engaging. Have your logo make sense if you're a business owner. If you're in IT, make sure everything looks technical. Everything is about what you specialize in. I will never forget, I had an IT person that got angry at me for contacting them. And he goes, I'm not a Java developer. I said, Java is literally listed on your LinkedIn profile 21 times. Why is it on there 21 times if you don't develop Java? Don't get mad at me. It's not my fault.
Yeah, and one thing that I really liked, I actually had this. I had this business card at one point that was given to me by someone, and I held on to it. I still have it. I use it as a bookmark because on the back of the business card, it says, "You are so enough." And so even just having little phrases like, "Yeah, right," is so meaningful. It's like that person is actively listening to me when they're not around. I'm just like, it means
no, it's true.
And so even things like that, it's just meaningful to people to hear. It's the things that people just like to hear that empower them.
Yes, and reach out to people and just say, "Hey, how you doing?" And don't always make it about needing something, or send them, like Dan always is doing his videos, send them a video of whatever in the world, and send people Merry Christmas cards. We've learned that from our father. We've been referencing him a lot. Yeah, send out Christmas cards, say happy birthday to people, you know?
I know that we live in a desperate world. There are people who have lost jobs, especially with COVID. And people are desperate. They want to quickly sell something. They want to let you know they need jobs. But you have to realize that the person on the other side is not necessarily expecting you to talk about jobs or about what you sell. You have to connect with people. Connection is human. Connect with people and realize that your business card or your business headline, your LinkedIn headline is not your property. It is the property of the people you want to see it, like it, enjoy it, and want to connect with you because of it. So when you realize it's not just about you, it's about the people you want to hand this thing over to. So ensure that your communication is nice. If you have something to say to Catherine or to Michaela, for instance, ensure that in the first conversation, you talk about them. And then maybe tomorrow or 2 days time or 3 days time, you can follow up and say, "Oh, yeah, how have you been? About, the last time we chatted, you mentioned this." And then when they should talk about that, then you say, "Oh, by the way, I'm a keynote speaker, or I sell books on Amazon." Then really, I'll check. Give me one of the topics. Let me go on Amazon and check it for you. So it is very, very important to show mutual respect. Communication is a two-way street. You have to hear the other person. But the problem with the human race is that we listen to speak rather than listening for communication. So when people talk to us, we are not listening to them. We want them to finish what the hell they're saying so that we can come and say what we have to say. And that is why.
And I want to tell you guys, Sonny, and you're spot on, Sonny. And I will tell you guys, Sonny practices what he preaches. That's how he met me. And we met on LinkedIn, and we just ended up having a conversation. I invited him on one of the first career launches, and he's been with us ever since. And and we support each other, and it's a great way. And we're, by the way, across the world from each other. Like, this is not like Sonny is not down the street from me. Okay. He is literally across the world. and we help each other, and so reach out and become global if you want to, but you can find the most interesting people on LinkedIn if you just reach out and start the right conversation. So thank you, Sonny, for coming. It was a wonder. It was wonderful to have you. Bye.
Experience to be here. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Sonny. Bye. And guys, connect with Sonny. We dropped his link down in the comments. Real quick, before Michaela and I do our wrap up, I just want to touch on like the key points that we've had today. Okay. So you've got to get yourself out there, get outside your comfort zone, and stay outside of your comfort zone. Yeah. If you're on LinkedIn, comments, connect, connect, and then start conversations that way. And by the way, guys, that is the number one best way. If you comment on somebody's post and then connect with them and tie it to that, you will get at least a messaging conversation out of them. 99 times out of 100. It's a great, very effective way to do that. So, connect. When you go to a networking event, don't be a potato. Okay. We covered that, be interesting. Don't hover with the people that don't necessarily seem interested. Move on to the next group. That's perfectly okay. Have something catchy, have a business card that has a really cool saying like Michaela said, or have something or that's a bottle opener like me and encourage alcoholism. Not really. I just want to I don't really encourage alcoholism.
They said those for me that I'm like, that would not be good as a counselor.
No, let's not do that. So, but be, have energy, reach out and learn from other people how to best introduce yourself. There are tons of people out there giving great tips. Trevor Houston, Dan Irvin. I know a wonderful woman by the name of Sasha. I cannot think of her last name, but if you contact me directly, I will hook you up with her who can actually teach you how to introduce yourself. Cultivate those relationships. Follow up with them via email. Set reminders to follow up with people. Yeah. Put something that is personal about them that you can mention the next time that you talk to them. Send out birthday cards or birthday greetings, Christmas cards, all that kind of thing. Say hi to people. If they're a veteran, remember to thank them for their service on the appropriate days, things like that. And then give shout outs on LinkedIn and stuff and on shows and all that. Give shout outs. Go, hey, this person is really great. You should connect with them. Tag them on your LinkedIn posts, comment and invite them to comment on your post. Give shout outs to people, use them as examples in a positive way, make introductions for them. If you meet somebody that you think they get along with, make an intro, and then ask for help. That is the last stage. When you have built that relationship and you know you need something, reach out and ask for help. So that was the summary. So Michaela, what are your takeaways from today?
I have so many takeaways. One of the ones that I really liked was something Dan said about finding what you're passionate about to get you through what scares you. And the fact that discomfort's going to happen, you're going to be uncomfortable, and you can get through it, especially when you hold on to what's passionate. There at the end, I really liked what Sunny was saying about it's not about the speaker, it's about the audience, and talking about active listening. That's something I've just got to say is one of my extreme takeaways is the active listening. Yes. And even me in my profession, sometimes I fall victim to the fact I'm like, oh my God, am I performing right? Am I doing what I need to be doing? And it's not about me. It's about, especially in my profession, it's not about me. It's about the other person. And when you're thinking this, and that transfers to anyone's profession. And professional, just any sort of profession really, but yeah, just what is the person saying to you, and listening to understand instead of to respond. I think that that's such a powerful lesson. And there's one more that I wanted to mention. Oh yeah, there's something that we talked about with Bill, and that's seeing people not as resources, but as people. And I think that's also a very, very important point.
Yes. And I will tell you that some of the people that for whom I've been the greatest resource, or vice versa, that have been the greatest resource for me. In fact, I'm going to use a very specific example. I have someone that has worked with me a couple of times and now is a contract for me occasionally as needed. And we bonded the most over the fact that we helped each other through some craziness. When we barely knew each other, we just happened to just be tossed into some nonsense right at the same time and just kind of got through it. So remembering that the other person is human, even if you're not comfortable, like, if you just don't want to, listen to all of their, be their therapist, essentially, that's perfectly fine. But having a human understanding and saying, I get that you're going through that. How can I support you professionally, especially if it's a coworker type relationship? How can I support you professionally? How can I help over here so that you can deal with that? And then when you're making friends on LinkedIn and all, understand they've got stuff going on too. They have all kinds of things, and just, be patient with people. Don't expect them to move mountains for you. And when you're going to ask for something, make sure that you understand they may have to say no. Just because it's not that they don't. Yeah. And that's okay. It's not that they don't want to help. It's just sometimes they can't. So have multiple sources. Ask a lot of people for help.
All your eggs in one basket.
Yeah. Put them all out there, but build relationships, cultivate them. That is how you get the best jobs. That is how you reach the next level. That is how you become powerful within your industry, within your position, and get to know your competitors. We talked about that with Bill too. That's who's going to give you your next job 9 times out of 10. Don't be ridiculous. Get to know your competitors.
You'll get so many referrals.
Gosh, yes. I'm telling you right now, if my company folded, I would have so many options. People I could call and go, hey, I need a job. That are competitors. Yeah, and they know what I can do. They've seen what I could do. And who knows better than the person you stole an account from what you can do? I'm just saying, it's true. So get to know people, have a good relationship, go to conventions. People in your industry, just get out there and have fun. And conventions are fun, by the way.
One way to really actually make a name for yourself and to meet people and to network is to become a volunteer.
Yes.
A lot of that's what I did. The very first convention I went to for the Texas Counseling Association convention. That's what I did. I volunteered and I made so many connections, and I'm still in contact with some of those people. And it's just a really great way to set yourself up for success.
That is a great piece of advice.
I'm telling you, volunteering is where it's at. Like, I volunteered at conventions when I volunteered at Baylor Scott and White with Maslow, which unfortunately we can't right now because of COVID. I remember I was like, has anyone ever gone up to the 6th floor with the dogs? Because there's a team of us. There's a team of people with dogs. I was like, has anyone ever volunteered to go up to the 6th floor? That's where all like the CEO, all the directors, executives, and they're like, oh no, we've never gone up there. I'm like, let's go. So I go, I ring the bell. I'm like, hey, and I knew, and I'd already known someone in there who was like walking in at the time, and she introduced us. And now I go up there every single time I go to visit. I know the people by names. And now if they're getting a mental health program up and running, and I've already been told I have a job. If
just in volunteering,
make relationships.
Yes, make relationships. Have a dog named Maslow. No, I'm playing.
It really doesn't hurt.
It does not hurt to have cute, adorable animals that can go with you to work, but that's a whole other conversation. But no, cultivate these relationships. Volunteering is huge. I've known so many people that have gotten jobs that way. I've gotten jobs that way. I've gotten clients that way. That is a huge thing. Volunteer with a cause that matters to you, and one, especially if you know a company that you want to get in with, is into that charity, volunteer. But give your time, get on shows like this, put yourself out there, be uncomfortable. I promise you, it's not that scary to come on a show. It's not that bad.
It's really not. Like I thought it would be really nerve-wracking. It's just fun.
Yeah, you just sit around, you talk, you get to know a whole bunch of really cool people, and it's fun. So anyway, cultivate your relationships. If you have more questions about that, please circle back to either Michaela or I. We are here for you. We will drop our LinkedIns in the comments. We are always here for you. Any of the guests that we've had on today would love to talk to you. All of their links are in the comments as well. And until then, and happy Thanksgiving. Oh my God, I nearly forgot. Happy Thanksgiving. We're so excited about that. We have some awesome shows coming up in December, and I'll see you later. Be great, everybody. Bye. Are we leaving?